Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about the books that I read in the month of April. So this is a really weird reading month because I didn't really read a lot. It's the 30th of April. I'm in the middle of A Crown of Gilded Bones and I started the audiobook for Every Heart a Doorway today. I have an hour left, but I'm listening to it on 2x speed, so I have 30 minutes left. But I needed to film this video to be able to get it up and ready in time. But I'm gonna say that I've read at least 4 books. I'm not sure if I'm gonna finish The Crown of Gilded Bones. I'm 337 pages into the 645 pages. Don't think that I'm gonna finish it. If anything, I'll probably finish it tomorrow, which is May 1st. And that's mostly because I'm going home tomorrow and I have to basically pack up everything that I have here. By the time you're seeing this, I will already be home, but I do have to pack up my room. So, like I said, I will have technically read 4 books this month. I mean, maybe I can finish A Crown of Gilded Bones, but I doubt it. And then I have 1 book that I DNF'd. So the way that I'm going to structure this is I'm going to start with the books that I had to read for school, and then we'll go into the books that I wanted to read myself and do that. So we're going to start with the book that I DNF'd because it was one that I read for school, and that was The Dispossessed by Ursula K. Le Guin. I did not care for a single thing in this book. I think I got maybe 2 or 3 chapters in. Granted, each chapter is like an hour in the audiobook, and I didn't care. I didn't want to read anymore. No. It's basically, I don't even know what it's about. I didn't read the description because I quite honestly didn't care. I really couldn't tell you what it was about. The first chapter is completely revolved around this wall and how it's dividing 2 halves of a planet, I think. And this guy who is going back to the other planet, and I was just I'm confused. I didn't want to spend the time on trying to figure out what the hell was going on, especially when it's the last book of the semester in my class and we didn't really talk about it. And a majority of my class hadn't read it, didn't care to read it. We all just had given up at that point. So it was just why am I even gonna bother doing it? So yes, I ended up effing that. I couldn't. However, on a slightly better note, the other book that I read for school this month, and this was the only book that I read, so the other one was for my Ursula K. Le Guin class, this one is for my neurodiversity class, and that was Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I think looking back, it probably would have been a better rating of 4.5 out of 5 stars, just because there's a trigger warning for suicide in this. There's a mention of it, but there's a trigger warning for suicide, and I just didn't think that the inclusion of it was that important. It wouldn't have changed the base story if it wasn't included, and I think that it was used a little more as a plot device as opposed to an integral part of the story, and it kind of irritated me a little bit. But other than that, I absolutely loved this book. This book it's a love story to fandom, not love story, it's a love letter to readers, it's a love letter to writers, it's a love letter to everybody involved in fandom and all things fandom. And we basically follow Eliza, and she is a senior in high school, and for a couple of years she's been the author of this very, very popular webcomic. Has millions upon millions of views and readings, and there's huge fan bases about it. There's fan fiction written on it, there's cosplay, there's a whole bunch of things. And a new kid comes to her school, Wallace, and Wallace ends up being the top person who writes fan fiction about her series. But Eliza does not want anyone to know that she's the one who's written Monstrosity. She likes the anonymity. She goes by the name of Lady Constellation. Nobody knows that Eliza Merk wrote Monstrosity. And like I said, she meets the guy. She doesn't tell the guy that she is who she is. They start a relationship, and I love that. That part is cute. But like I said, the biggest part that I really love about this is the fandom and the writing. I relate to Eliza so much in her you know, in her neurodiversity, she has anxiety. It's mostly anxiety and like social anxiety and all that, and it's just, I don't know, the way that she thought was very similar to the way that I think, and I related so much to this. It's one of my comfort reads now. I really, really love this, and it's told in an interesting way because there is emails, there's IMs, there's actual panels from the comic in here, which there's a bunch of them. So yeah, I cannot rave enough about this book. Like I said, the only thing that I didn't particularly like was the way that suicide was used as a plot device as opposed to an integral part of the story. But other than that, I love it, and it's amazing that this is a contemporary and I'm saying that I love it. But like I said in my May TBR, I've found that if there is like something revolving around writing, reading, and fandom, I tend to like it if it's a contemporary because those are things that I like. So, like I said, I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was amazing. Highly recommend. Everybody should read it. And also, the one thing that I want to do, so Francesca Zappia actually created Monstrous Sea. She wrote there's a book series in this that's very integral to Wallace and Eliza, like it's Eliza's favorite book series. Francesca Zappia actually wrote the book series. So there's a whole bunch of material that, you know, can be further read. I want to read it's called The Children of Hypnos. I want to read that, and then I also want to read Monstrous Sea, like from the beginning, because we get bits and pieces of it, but I'm honestly kind of confused on that part of the story. So I would love to actually read Monstrous Sea and see how that like goes. But yes, like I said, 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was amazing. Yay. Okay, so then the next two books go together, and that is I reread From Blood and Ash and A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. I gave them both 5 stars. I absolutely love this series. Yes, I absolutely love this series. It's a fantasy romance series. Love the romance in it. Love the fantasy aspect of it. It's great. So if you don't know, I'm just gonna put this one down. So if you don't know what From Blood and Ash is about, it is basically about a girl named Poppy. I find it very difficult to explain this because there's so many different aspects. So let's start with this. So she is living in this world. In this world, there are these people called the Ascended. The Ascended are essentially almost immortal beings who have ascended, that's what they call it, and were once mortal and now are as close to immortal as you can get. Within this world, Poppy, when she was younger, was named as the Maiden, blessed by the gods, chosen by the gods to be the Maiden. They believe that when she ascends, her ascension is vital to all other ascensions and future ascensions that could possibly happen. So she is very much not wanting to be the Maiden. As the Maiden, she has to wear all white. She has to wear a veil. She can't talk to anybody. The only people she talks to are her guards and her lady's maid, Tawny, her guard, Rylan, and then her other guard, Victor. So yeah, she can't be touched, can't be spoken to. It's like she doesn't exist. She does not like this. She hates it. She wants adventure. She wants everything that a normal person would have in this world. And at the very beginning of the story, her guard dies and she needs a new one. So in put Hawk Flynn, who takes the place of it, and it's their sort of romance and her kind of stepping out of her comfort zone and finally being the person she wants to be as opposed to the person that she needs to be, because the Ascended told her to be that. And the story grows from there. There's so many other things. Like, I know that seems like a really big explanation of what this is, but there's so many other things that are involved in this that explanation is really not good, in my opinion at least. So yeah, so that's the basis of the story. This one finishes, and then we get into A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. One of the things that I find really interesting about these is that a lot of times when I read book series, there's a time jump in between the books. This one's there's no time jumps. Literally, the ending line of this book is the beginning line of the next one, and it's the same scene, same setting. The only annoying part about that is that there's cliffhanger endings. Like, the ending of this book left me reeling. I was so mad that I did not have the next one, and honestly, I'm kind of scared to get to the end of The Crown of Gilded Bones, because I don't want a cliffhanger ending again. And I know that that's what's gonna happen. But I digress. It is what it is. So after that rambling, the last book that I would technically have read in the month of April, because I'm going to finish it when I'm done filming this and I have some stuff to do, is Every Heart a Doorway by Shannon Maguire. This is a book that it has been on my radar for a while, but I hadn't really thought to pick it up, and I was trying to find a short audiobook that I could read while I was doing housekeeping things that I needed to do to get ready to go home tomorrow. And I was on Scribd and I was scrolling and I found this one was only 4 hours long at normal speed, which I was like, great, I can listen to it on 2x speed and get it done in 2 hours. I sort of did that. I started off at 1x speed, then I went to 1.5, and then I went to 1.8. Right now I'm listening to it on 2x speed, but I needed to like get into the story a little bit more to then finally like be like, okay, I'm good, I understand the concept, I understand the basis of this, I can like now listen to it on 2x speed and be completely fine. So if you do not know what Every Heart a Doorway is, Every Heart a Doorway follows a group of characters, but basically it follows a house for wayward children. Wayward children are children who fell through doors when they were younger and have now since come, oh no, Mary fell. So they have come back from those places and they're not dealing well. They all want to go back. So their parents, they end up being sent to, oh my god, what is it called? Okay, so they go to Eleanor West's Home for Wayward Children. And all of these children, like I said, are falling through doorways. So think like Alice falling down the rabbit hole, coming back, and she can't deal with like the fact that she is in a real world again. She's not in a fantastical. So that's what the home is trying to help these kids with. They're trying to help them deal with the fact that they're finally in the real world. Nancy, who is our technically main character, is the one that we follow mostly, has just gotten there, and like a day or two, like the night that she was there, one of the girls that is there ends up being murdered, and there starts to be a slew of murders, and they have to basically figure out why they're dying, why like specific pieces of them are being taken. So yeah, it's really interesting. I haven't gotten to the end, so I don't know. At the moment, it is a 4.5 to 5-star book. I don't have those like 5-star feels, but there is so much representation in this. Our main character is asexual. We have a transgender character. We have a gender fluid character. We have, I'm trying to think of what else. There's just so many characters. There was Asian characters. There's so many people from so many different walks of life in this book, and it's great. It's also very, I don't know, it's a very positive book, but I'm really, really enjoying it, and at the moment it's a 4.5 star. I don't know, it doesn't have that 5-star feels. I could be wrong, and by the end of it, I'm great. I think it's also mostly because I'm reading an audiobook. Audiobooks don't tend to be 5-star reads for me. Not quite sure why, but But yes, so I'm very excited to finish that. Hopefully I'll be finishing that within like 30 minutes of me filming this. I may or may not finish that and then come back on here and tell you all of my thoughts about the ending, but I'm not sure. If I do, here is future Gabby talking to you. Okay, so yes, I finished it. Oh my, I loved it. I am giving it 4.5 out of 5 stars. It doesn't feel like a 5-star read, but I absolutely loved it. I loved the twist at the end, loved the ending. I also didn't realize that it's a series, but each book is like a standalone. So like it finishes the arc of one character. So this one was Nancy's arc. And I loved the ending. I thought it was, honestly, if I had like read it physically, it probably would have made me cry at the end, but like I didn't, so I read it on audiobook. But I loved it. It's a strange kind of mystery because, I don't know, I am one of those people who both loves and hates the idea of a plot twist out of frickin' nowhere, because I think if it's completely out of nowhere, somewhere in there, like the storytelling maybe could have gotten lost, because I feel like you should be able to sort of start piecing things together. But at the same time, if you have a plot twist out of nowhere, like it's so fun because you're like, oh my goodness, it was her or it was them who was doing this or whatever. And that is what happens in this one. I was kind of like, wait, what? But then also looking back and thinking back, it makes perfect sense that the person who was doing it because you do get some sort of hints and clues in the beginning. And then you also kind of get the piecing together of the rest of their backstory. So needless to say, I absolutely loved it. 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was great. And yeah, back to past me. So those are all of the books that I read in the month of April. Kind of an iffy month. All good books though. Like, except for the one that I DNF'd, but we're not going to talk about that. And that also happened in like the first 2 days of April, and we're not going to talk about it. But overall, nothing under 4 stars, which is great. So yes, those are the books that I read in April. If you like this video, please go ahead and give me a like down below. If you like this video and want to see more from me, please do make sure you hit that subscribe button, and hope you are having a great day, time, night, wherever you are, whatever time it is. I hope it's good for you, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!